All right, welcome to W2M Extra number 6, and this is the first one where you are looking at us live as we are
in your face. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
very awkward.
I don't know
Very
if
awkward.
it's showing our names. I think it's taking my screen, so I am Sean Garmer.
Gary Vaughn.
Paul Leeser. Woo!
Leeser. Is that how you actually pronounce your name?
Yeah.
Okay.
I always say
We have it wrong in the
we
wrong
do.
intro and everything.
Look at that.
You're never you're like the 250th person to get it wrong, and it never bugs me at this point, so I don't make a big deal out of it.
We've got to fix our intro for sure now. That's
I'm just gonna go like the whole time like Harry just wants to say it.
I know. Harry brought hers. Props to you, buddy. You got it right. We were wrong.
Oh, well, he asked me twice before we did the reaction. He's like, how do you say it?
I just got to work on Harry taking away our middle names because he still calls me Gary Joe, and I feel like I'm from Arkansas, people.
Hey, I'm from there. We don't need to.
That's why I said it. I love Arkansas people. Don't worry. Razorbacks are awesome.
Yep.
So
You don't have to lie, Gary. I mean,
I can't lie. Clint Sterner played for the Razorbacks, and I was a fan. So
You play for the Cowboys for a minute.
yeah, for a second. So anyway, well, Ben, everybody, welcome. This is kind of cool, but kind of crazy. I know seeing our faces is kind of nuts, but hey, at least you now get to see why we're on the radio, basically. Right? But that's cool. You get a name to the face, all that great stuff. But we are so happy to have you guys. This is going to be really cool. This is our 6th extra, and it's going to be so cool because we are doing TakeOver 2 Fatal 4-Way. Yeah, that's a big one. It's been a while since we've done one of these, actually. We've been, wanting to do them, but we just honestly got busy. Things always happen. And since me and Sean are actually doing our sports show now on a more regular basis, it's been just kind of crazy. But we're so glad to be with you guys and doing this. And we'll also do a few news items, so don't get worried. It's not going to be like a 30-minute thing. We'll actually maybe take an hour. If need be longer, we'll do it. But we're going to get as much information to you guys as possible. But, man, how have things been going with you guys this week? I know we recorded it just on Tuesday, but, man, I know a lot of things can happen. Heck, the weather here changed. It's now fall outside compared to 85 to 95 to 105 degrees outside.
oh yeah, but our transition into fall is still humid as crap.
Oh, it is.
It's bad.
Well, it's humid over here all the time. So.
Right.
That's Sean's life now. It's
Yeah.
humidity. Yeah. Oh, my wife actually said, man, it feels like fall outside. And I walk outside, I'm like, no, it's
Liar.
Houston out here. It is not cold. But she's always cold, so that's the way it works. But anyway, well, how are things going with you guys?
I haven't been much to anything the last 2 days. I've had class like one day, and that's it.
Oh. Hey, that's good, man. Just sit back and relax a little bit for once.
Right?
How about you, Sean?
They're cutting hours at work, so I've been off since Sunday, and I rented Destiny from Redbox, and I've been playing that, and we got the cable today, so I got to enjoy the football game before TakeOver came on, which was nice, even though it wound up being a blowout, but that's how those things happen. Second blowout in a row for Thursday Night Football.
Oh, my goodness. For NFL and CBS because they were hoping for much more.
Well, hey, you know what? They got their vindication for somebody hitting somebody, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. They opened it up with a bang, so.
exactly. Thankfully, nobody was in any kind of elevator.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really terrible pun, too.
Lobo. It wasn't Baltimore tonight. That's right, people.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, and we'll talk more about the whole football stuff on our show called Football to Football. We'll plug that a little bit here. But anyway, guys, well, why don't we go ahead and jump into this thing? We got this, NXT TakeOver 2 to talk about, so let's get into it.
Yeah, we got that first match started out with a tag team title match with Kalisto and Sin Cara and against the Ascension, and I figured it was a good shot for the opener. Anytime you can get the high flyers going and you can get the Ascension, who have been totally dominant to start is awesome. It went a lot shorter than I thought it would. I thought it would go longer. I was expecting more out of it, but I think what we got was good. The Sin Cara going through the ropes and actually not botching, of course, helps that it's not the actual Sin Cara. So, and I thought I was expecting more offense from the Ascension too. They went a lot more submission based and stuff like that. We didn't get a lot of the high impact stuff they usually do, so that was kind of weird. But they actually did it right this time. Kalisto got the hot tag and got to do stuff instead of last time where they tried to get LO Cal to be the hot guy. That was totally wrong.
Fools.
Oh man.
Yeah, this is a good match. Fine opener, I think. We get to watch Kalisto be Kalisto. If you've never seen Samurai Del Sol before, you get a really good picture, I think, of what he is. In the short 3-4 minutes he was on offense. And I really like the finish to this too. You got to see what they're calling themselves now, the Lucha Dragons, sort of be a little smarter in this and stop the fall of man, and it eventually turns into Kalisto taking advantage. But yeah, I mean, I was expecting a lot of these matches to be sort of, I'm not gonna say shorter, but more, bite size, I guess. Because I figured they were gonna give a lot of time to the main event, which they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that they did the right amount of time for that match, though, because it was the opener, but it needed some pizzazz, and they gave you enough of it. I just love the way that they made it happen formulaically. It was kind of fun to watch these guys, these little luchadors. Of course, Sin Cara's not that little. Let's just be honest. Hunakara is not that little.
No.
But Kalisto definitely showcased. And so that was the most important thing here. We wanted to see who this guy was. Yeah, sure, we've seen him on past NXTs, but we haven't got a chance to see some of those things you may have seen in the indie circuit. And this guy really took advantage of this time. And honestly, the guys in the Ascension did not take the night off. They looked really well too. Very powerful. I forget which one of them it was that did the clothesline to, I think it was Kalisto on the outside, knocked him off the ropes. That would it looked pretty serious. At first I thought, man, they may be getting strong style in a minute here, because it looked like he really got him good. So they did a great job, and it was a great way to start the show. Very intelligent, because, just watching it, I got kind of pumped up for the show because I thought, man, this is actually a really good match, and I didn't expect that. I kind of halfway expected a squash, to be honest with you.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I mean, great stuff.
None of us picked Kalisto and Sin Cara to win, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, how soon do you think the Ascension are going to the main show now?
Well, they showed up on main event, so it's not out of the realm of possibility, I think.
I agree.
They need tag teams, and it would be nice to have the Usos and whatchamacallit had a great feud in NXT, as it was. So, it would be nice to see them get to renew that a little bit. Moving along, I think did we do a backstage segment, or they just went straight to the hair versus hair match here? Either way, second match was hair versus hair. Sad to say, no, it wasn't. We got the squash.
Yes.
The re-debuting Baron Corbin, even though they made it seem like he was debuting, he's been on the show before many times, either getting squashed himself or
We've never seen this
someone.
man.
I mean, this is one of those WWE isms, that they love to do where, hey, this guy really didn't show up, so you know.
It was his evil Bella twin.
Right.
That was who was there before.
That makes sense.
He was a former football player, just like Mojo. So, he's going to have a bruising offense and all that. Or is it yeah, it's that guy. It's not the other. They had another guy named Danny something that I think he's the one that got released that was similar to him. But anyway, TJ Parker got whooped. Anything we need to say about that, really? I did like his promo during the pre-show. Thought that was, like where he interrupts Regal and stuff. I thought that was well done. The whole pre-show was well done, as they always do. I was missing Paul Heyman, as Paul noted in the thread. But, yeah, I mean, for what we got, it was, of course, they re-show almost all these videos anyway, so it's like not special to the pre-show or anything. But yeah, anything on the squash front?
Baron Corbin has a very impressive finisher, made all the more impressive looking by how well CJ Parker sold it and just worked it in general. Like, that's a seesaw death move is what I called it. I don't even know.
All I have to say about that is amen, brother. That's
Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, Corbin, I mean, he looked good. I mean, that's what he's supposed to be doing here, and I think it was kind of neat. But here's the thing. Why did they ruin what NXT always has done with better than the whole main roster? And that's make continuity work. Now by making a re-debut of a guy we've seen plenty of times and saying, oh, we've never seen this guy before.
Well, what did he do that really merited them talking about him?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Before?
I guess, but if you're going to ask me, it still matters because I saw it. If I didn't see it, then but I saw it. So I know I'm not ignorant, but there you go.
I would normally agree with you in NXT, probably in most cases they would say that, but in a case where a lot of what Baron Corbin did was get squashed himself, that looked really bad. Hey, you're going to go in this match with CJ Parker. Oh, look at all the other times he was on TV. Oh, it's going to get beat in like 30 minutes.
It's depressing.
Yeah.
You make a great point, and I actually would agree on that because instead of repackaging him, they just basically threw him back out there and made it a new debut. I get that. I just, I don't know. Just my weird quirk.
So we had the hair versus hair. Enzo and Colin Cassidy came out at the beginning and basically told us how many different haircuts they could do for Sylvester the Four. I like that he kept going on with it, and the crowd was responding. They're just so good with the crowd reactions. It's I hate that it seems like everybody either has to get a new video or a new music every time they do a new takeover. I don't always enjoy the fact that they do it. I understand that it maybe means that they've made it now or whatnot, but I kind of like the whole little Italian thing behind them with the lights and all that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they do what they do. The match, sad to say, probably the worst match on the card that was actually advertised. These two just they didn't gel well. It didn't seem like they even had a plan for what they were supposed to do, honestly. It seemed like they just went out there, had a match, and it was like, okay, we're just having this match so we can do the hair versus hair thing. And we didn't even give them the hair versus hair thing on the person that was actually in the match. It was on his tag partner instead. And we didn't get it right then either. They came out later and did it with Marcus Louis, where they played around and it seemed like somebody else was going to get it, and then they throw the potion, as they called it, on the cream on Louis, and he freaked out, and we got to see him bald eventually, or mostly bald. Who was it? Somebody? What did they compare him to? He looks like a.
Fonte compared him to his nuts.
No, on the actual broadcast, they compared him to somebody with some kind of.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Facebook. I'm sorry. Shout out to Fonte then.
Damn it, I didn't need that visual again. I didn't need that visual.
That's why you don't get on Skype with Fonte people.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're referring to, we have a big, well, it's not that big. It's, compared to many other Facebook groups.
Whoa.
But,
this is PG. PG.
But,
I think I broke it.
we have a WTM Facebook group that has a ton of people on it and a lot of regular guys, and Fonte's one of the most regular ones, and he always has to have an opinion on something, and he said that Marcus Louis' face, if you go find the picture, it does look like, somebody's pubes could be on there or something. So,
oh man,
this is the extra. I guess we don't have to be so PG,
Yeah, that's okay.
Either way, what did you guys think of this? I mean, I think it worked as an angle. Some people were pissed that LaFour wasn't the guy that got the, baldness, but at least we came up with a new way to spell bald, right?
Right? All right, here we go. All right, bada bing, bada boom. Here we go. Felix guys in the room. All right. Enzo Amore, Sylvester Lafore. Enzo, you didn't do so great, buddy. All right. You know, and the match is secondary to how fun this whole angle was. They come out strong with the talking and everything, which is what they do best. And Enzo, I still think is trying to find his feet again after his leg injury. Because as far as we've seen him as NXT tapings go, it's been maybe 2-3 matches tops, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. And Sylvester Lafore we rarely see in the ring, so I still don't have a clear picture on how talented he is in the ring. Obviously, though, with these two together like that, we're not going to get much, and I wasn't expecting a lot, but the antics, I think, more than made up for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, these guys are all about entertaining, not so much about what they can do in the ring. Now, Sylvester Lafore, you guys think, would hope that he would be a little bit more well-trained because he's not geared towards that side of the track. He's not more of an entertainer. He's supposed to be more of a wrestler. So I think that's kind of an interesting factor. But, I mean, you're right. With the entertainment factor definitely makes this watchable. Without all that, I think we'd all be like Borefest, and we'd probably be like, let's move it on.
Right.
So I think it was great, though. They put on a great show in this. So great stuff. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure. I wish I knew. For one of us keeping tracks on track of time on this thing, because my deal is because I pressed record with the small thing, but it's not showing it. I'm hoping this is actually recording because I'm about to get upset.
Oh boy, here we go.
This thing is I pressed record on the smaller one, and it's not showing us recording on the other one, so hold on. Let me press stop on here real quick. Alright, well, after the technical difficulties of trying to figure out if we were recording or not, apparently we were, so thankfully we don't have to redo this whole thing again. We were on the Enzo and Sylvester Lafore stuff. I think the fun thing about it is that at least somebody was bald, so they didn't totally screw anybody out of it. Mm-hmm. We didn't get Lafore bald, who's the guy that had the longer hair, which it would have been a much bigger deal or whatnot, but you can obviously see that Lafore's the guy they're kind of taking somewhere with this. Louise kind of just there in the background, I think, as opposed to, the other two where you can see that both Colin and Enzo have an end game there. So,
Well, they're talking about killing a guy's gimmick because that guy, the hair, it really is part of who he is. I just don't picture the type of character he is without that hair.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Weird.
Yeah, very weird.
I think that's cool that he's actually not like Lana, where he, it's an American doing a Russian. It really seems like he does know his French. Mm-hmm. He was going on a real long dialogue on the Fallout about, saying stuff in French. So I imagine he's either got a really good accent or he's from there or has some kind of connection from there.
Yeah.
So I think after this stuff was the women's. Oh no, it was Mojo and Bull Dempsey, which was thankfully short. I don't think that it needed to go really a lot. Mm-hmm. Bull Dempsey basically whooped some Mojo Rawley, so I guess we're all happy about that, right?
Thumbs up.
X-Nate on the rear view A.
Yep, exactly. We didn't get
chance.
So, yeah, I mean, I this is the way it had to happen. Perfect way to do this because I think a lot of people are not really digging Mojo. So this gives him maybe a perfect chance to go repackage, maybe do something different. They need to do this for a long time. I'm glad if it is going to happen, it's going to happen now.
Yeah, I think, and even the way they booked it, I think really helps Bull Dempsey's character. As he came out pissed, he beat him pissed, and then he beat him down pissed. He's just mad. 24/7 mad.
Mm-hmm. And he busted him open, and he just went on with the headbutt, the flying headbutt, and won. He didn't even do the whatchamacallit, the bulldozer. So,
No, how to.
yeah,
That
exactly. It is. Short and sweet, that harmless little thing there. But one thing we were advertised and we got it. Kenta shows up on NXT debut here. He tells us about his new name, which is going to be Hideo Itami. Yeah. I gotta say, this is different. I don't think even with other people that have debuted with such a big name like that, have they just flat out said, "Hey, my name's Kenta. You know me as Kenta, but this is gonna be my new name in NXT, by the way." like just so nonchalantly, just okay, this is my name now, just so you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was he talking about, mentor? I may have missed that part. He said something about his mentor and then changed his name.
Yeah.
Yep. Itami he took from his mentor, which I don't know who it is because he wasn't trained by anybody named Itami. He's trained by Kenta Kobayashi and somebody else. So I might have to look into that some more, but I don't know who he was talking about.
Okay. Let's see.
Either way, I fell in love instantly with his theme music. I thought it was awesome. And he got to make the Ascension look foolish, which I think, sort of sets the stage for how much of a BA WWE wants him to be.
Yeah. The thing about it, though, I don't know what it was about that, but from what he had, maybe he's just not great in his suit. But to me, it wasn't as impactful as I was hoping. I don't know. There was something there. Maybe it's the camera angles, because I noticed, like, the last shot where he's knocking both them out of the ring and getting them away from him. They didn't even show any action, really, from Hideo, whatever you want to call his new name. I want to call him Kenta anyway.
I'm pretty sure they're going to refer to him as, like, the former Kenta or whatever for a while, until people know his name.
Yeah, it's going to take some getting used to.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Because to me, I don't know. It just wasn't there for me when it came to him in action.
I mean, I've never tried to get in a fist fight in a suit before, so I don't know how hard that is.
I imagine it makes it hard for him to do the kicks that he was doing.
Right.
Which they made it a big deal about him. That's going to be his style, is kick this and kick that. He did plenty of that.
Ooh,
yeah. Go watch his, Noah stuff. He kicks people hard.
So instead, since he can't be called the Japanese Buzzsaw, what could be his, new nickname, or whatever? I wonder.
Just drawing a blank, man.
I know, it's hard, because I think Tajiri has it right. All the kicks that Tajiri does, Japanese Buzzsaw works perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe, Hiteo will have something like the Human Axe or something. I don't know. I think we kind of...
If he was...
That's a little lame, I'm sorry.
It's terrible, I know. Japanese Buzzsaw is perfect. I don't know.
So like something they would call it in the 80s, like the Human Axe.
I know. Hey,
I
love the 80s, that's why. And I'm awfully corny, so.
It's fine. It's just... I mean, at least you came up with something we didn't. So.
No, I know. I'm begging me to. Pull me out of this hole, guys.
I'm just glad that he has appeared, and that next week we're going to see him wrestle. So that's already they're giving us what we want immediately. That's you can't do any better than that, I think.
I think the biggest question coming out of this is, why didn't they go ahead and let Kevin Steen debut on this?
I don't know. While we were watching it, I was thinking. I mean, on the previous episode we just did, I thought he might come out here, which was a total BS thing to predict too. But I think it would have been neat. And then there's also the idea that if Zayn was going to win the belt tonight, him coming out and going face to face with Zayn right after he wins the belt, I thought would have been really cool and got a huge pop from the NXT crowd, of course. So I don't know. Maybe they're waiting for that.
I think most of it was just, Triple H had a picture of earlier in the day with all three of them, Kenta, David, and Steen, and then Steen made it like, oh, I'm gonna show up at Takeover, so everybody started maybe thinking he's gonna show up, and no, he didn't. I mean, I think it was tailor made for him to come in and do something with Zayn or whatnot, or maybe save Zayn from losing or something, but still, we know he's signed. He'll show up when we can show up. I think it would have been kind of a little bit of overkill, almost kind of taking away the moment from Kenta if he did show up. So maybe
that is true.
Maybe they kind of left it off for another. Maybe if the Ascension get involved again, Steen comes in to save him next week or something.
That's a good idea.
Who knows? That'll be interesting to see what happens in the next tapings. Because the tapings are the next day, tomorrow, so he wouldn't have to go too far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get another special before the year ends, too, so.
Yeah, goodness. We might have to make our own category for the NXT specials.
Yeah.
Well, they're all going to be on our shows of the year, all 3 of them or 4 of them, whatever. Basically, we got the 2 big matches left, Bayley and Charlotte. Not as good as Charlotte and Natalya, but it was up there. It was pretty damn good. These 2 know each other so well, got reversals. They told a really nice story of just Charlotte being overconfident and Bayley not giving up and always fighting for that last moment. There was a couple times I thought Bayley might be down, and she didn't. I don't know why they changed Charlotte, the name of her finisher. I have no idea why the bow down to the Queen is a bad thing, but whatever with the natural selection, I guess. Somebody was reading the Book of Evolution and just thought of that one, I guess. I don't know. And they changed Bayley's music too, which I'm going to miss. I really like that music. But I guess we'll get used to it, right? Really good match here, though, guys. What do you think?
Absolutely. There's a few little mistakes here or there, but nothing that really takes you out of the match or anything like that. Anything with a Super Hurricane Rana automatically gets a thumbs up from me, which Bayley and Charlotte do a terrific one. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really made me laugh, Charlotte gets a little too flippy on her moonsault and pretty much lands on her feet, which totally kind of takes away from the finish a little, but other than that, it's good stuff. You can't get mad at this, especially when this is miles and miles ahead of what we're getting on the Divas division on live TV every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually a breath of fresh air after having to watch all that other stuff going on. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it wasn't the best match we've seen in NXT or anything best of Charlotte, maybe even the best of Bayley. But together, I think they put on a pretty good match. I really thought even the end was pretty well placed. I didn't have a problem with time. There was not much that I can really pick at. Yeah, sure, there are things that you could sit there and say, well, it wasn't perfect, but that's okay. I mean, it did its job. It worked out well. The end was what I was kind of interested in, the fact that we have Charlotte actually maybe having a face turn here, or maybe a gray area here.
Second time in a row.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking, I am totally confused now. What the heck is going on? Who is she? Why is she this or that? So, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, you keep hearing the rumors that she could be hopping up to the main roster. So if that's the case, I can understand this. But if not, bad move. If not.
You know, they tried this sort of in a pseudo way after Natalya, and apparently it didn't take because they kept her as a heel. I guess this is part 2, and if it goes into Charlotte Sasha Banks, I'm not going to complain, because I think those 2 could have a terrific program with each other. They have the history with each other with the BFFs, which they'll get to bring up and stuff. Another person they changed her music, which I don't like, is Sasha Banks' music got switched. I always liked that funky groove thing that she had with hers. It really did make you feel like the boss is coming out right now, you know.
Right.
But I guess it's one of those, they just find stock music for them until they make up themes and they can't use the stock music anymore. I don't know how that works, but I guess we can talk about the Fallout stuff because we only got one match left. I really like the stuff with the Fallout with them at the end. I don't know if you got to watch that, Gary. No?
No, I didn't
Yes.
watch it. No. Oh.
Yeah, they had Bailey come out, and she basically talked about how she wanted to win, and she has respect for Charlotte, and she hopes she gets the rematch. And there was a girl crying because she lost and all this stuff. And I think her mom was there or something like that. Then Charlotte came out and told her she respected her, which kept on the kind of face turn deal. And then you had Sasha Banks come out. And Sasha Banks is like, well, I'm basically putting my name in the hat for being a contender for the championship. And then she started running down Bailey, and Charlotte told her to shut up. And it was kind of a lame way of defending Bailey. Like, there was something else you could have come up with other than to tell her, you can't say that about Bailey. Don't say that. Like, you know. But yeah, I did like the fact that she kind of played the role pretty well. She told, like, Bailey was like, so when I beat you and all this stuff, and like Charlotte's like, don't get crazy now. You know?
Yeah, let's hold on. Yeah, I mean, this is good stuff, and especially, I mean, this is going to be a triple threat. I mean, we're going to have Charlotte in the middle, who just wants to keep her belt, Bailey, who's trying to prove herself, and Sasha Banks, who hates everybody. And that works perfectly for me. That's your top 3 divas in that division right now. You're still building up the rest, which is only maybe 2 or 3 right now, so good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you go by that formula, I think it's kind of what they did here at the main event, where they used the top 4 guys right now in NXT. They gave them all a chance at the title, and smart move, because we've all been talking about for how long that, hey, when's Tyler Breeze going to get his chance? Sami Zayn's been waiting forever. When's he getting his chance? And of course, you got Tyson Kidd, who's been a part of the main roster, who you automatically think he should be in there. So I think that's kind of the way they are going with a women's division of NXT, and I like it. I think it's smart.
I really think they should just let Emma come back down if they're not going to do anything with her. At least she could add a number and something you can add in with some multiple person matches or whatever. You know, no use of wasting her, I think. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and, oh crap, computer's going slow. We can go ahead and talk about this this Fatal 4-Way. They got a lot of time, about 30 minutes or so after entrances, and they made most of it. What did you guys think?
Like, this is great. They start out slow, and then it sort of builds a little slowly after that, as you would expect with matches that go 20 plus, 25 plus minutes. There's some really terrific spots in this, like, and then not only that, but everybody sort of has their own little story they're trying to tell amongst the greater picture of the match. So you have Tyson Kidd, who wants to focus strictly on one guy. You have Tyler Breeze, who's just trying to sneak in the win any way he can get. You have Neville, who is just trying to keep his belt, and Zayn, who just won't quit. And it all feeds into this really wonderfully told match. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure Adrian Neville could have, like, leapfrogged out of the building tonight if he wanted to with that moonsault.
Yeah, God.
I mean, probably the best red arrow I've seen him do tonight. Like, he gets some pretty high air on that, too. Tyler Breeze, like, 2,000% into this match. Like, hissy fits as far as the eye can see. He's kicking people in the face. Like, he wants it. You can tell. Zayn on the button every single time. There's that one little botch with Neville and him where he tried to catch him, and Neville went too far because, we said Neville could have bounced out of the building tonight.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Tyson, who's the consummate professional in all this, and just point on. It's wonderful. Definitely match of the year candidate. Definite.
Yeah, a lot of people were hating on the fact that it was starting slow and they were on the outside for a while, but I mean, what do you expect? They can't just go crazy in 30 minutes. I mean, there's got to be slow parts, and at least it started that way. And I did like the fact that they had the whole Tyler Breeze and Kidd kind of being together at the beginning, and then it kind of dissolved, and it did get a little bit formulaic at times. They were trying to serve a purpose of, you know, teasing some matchups with Breeze and Zayn, even though it took them a little while, and I think it worked much better, much better than, the formulaic thing that we got with that Battleground. This one kind of had a purpose, and that was what he wanted to do. That was his strategy, so that he kept doing that. And then Breeze is just an opportunist. He's going to come in and do his thing whenever he can. I love the fact that they call it the supermodel kick instead of the super kick, so it makes it a little bit, different. Paul said it, it all worked. They had some the Tower Doom thing was fantastic. The ending was great. I love the ending. I love the fact that you had Neville pull out the ref and then do the red arrow. I think it adds so much to Neville's character. They played on it a little bit towards the end of that Fallout. I thought they should have done more with that, but maybe they realized that they didn't want to do it too much because then they might take Neville in a different direction they don't want. So, you didn't watch it, Gary, but they had, who came out, was it Tyson Kidd came out first earlier, and he talked about his strategies or whatever, and that he only needs one more opportunity to, if you give him one more opportunity, he's going to win this time. And then I think they made fun of him calling him Natty's wife and all this stuff, chanting Natalia's better than you or whatever. It was great. And then at the end they had Neville come out, and Neville talked about how he basically is going to do anything he can to win, and anybody else would have done the same in his position, but some people did yell at him that he cheated, and he's like, no, I did not cheat, and all this stuff. So they played with the crowd a bit too, because then at one point Charlotte was like, I'm going to tell all of you to shut up again. You don't, keep on going. But she reminded me a lot of Kurt Angle with that, her moonsault. She gets really high on it, and then it's very hard to hit it. You'll see Kurt Angle miss it too, because you get so high, it's like a freaking bird flying. Like, that's really hard to land in the same area you're supposed to be going. But yeah. Go ahead, Gary.
Well, no, that's great stuff. And you're right. I should have watched the Fallout. I think my mind was watch TakeOver, then get to the football game.
Gotta say this. NXT does Fallouts like just for these, and they do them way better than WWE does them for either weekly or by the pay-per-view. I don't know what it is, whether it's Triple H really makes sure he does these right or to prove a point, but they do these so much better. And it was different. They didn't do it outside this time. They did it in the arena, so it's a little different.
Definitely. And you make great points, and I should have watched it, and I probably will next time now that I know that it has a lot of, things that actually do matter towards the show and the results of the show. So, but the match itself, the main event, I love these kind of matches. It was so much fun to watch. Paul said it perfect. When each of these guys had their own strategy, they portrayed it very well. I was so excited at times because I thought, man, there is going to be a chance that we're going to see a new champion here. All of the false finishes. There were so many cool things going on here, there, and everywhere. So, I think that they did a wonderful job. And so, saying all that, using Neville in the ways you mentioned, Sean, pulling out the ref and stopping the tap out and all that.
Oh, that was great. The person tap out and then he grabs his arm, I
loved it. In other places, other scenarios, that's a heels kind of thing. You don't stop that.
That's what Kid brought up. Kid was like, if this was any other match or whatever, that should have counted as a tap out. It should have counted. It was you could clearly see he stopped his arm, and he was mad about the fact that Kid stopped his arm. Yeah.
He should be, and that's the perfect way, and that's what's perfect Fallout. Once again, you get a little explanation for that and a little heat for that, and I like that. But I don't think these guys could have done it any better. All four of these guys worked their butt off in the match. It showcased very well, and I think this is something where you could say those guys right there really helped sell the network. Because honestly, if you watched Raw and you saw these guys have a match on brawl and you thought, well, I want to see more, I want to see this, you may do the free trial and realize that, hey, NXT is a great product. Maybe you learned that a little bit earlier in this show, but I think the main event probably sold that really well for people who are on the fence maybe about the network, because they think if I can get this all the time, I'm totally in. So, I mean, I think across the board it did pretty well. My question to you guys is, how did you feel about the show overall? I mean, like I said, there may be some casual viewers watching this. How do you think it fared for you as a person who watches it all the time, and maybe for someone who hasn't watched it before?
For us, I mean, nothing but positive things to say about it. I don't know how well I would rank it up against the other two. Rival had two really good matches, or two or three really good matches. The first TakeOver had two pretty good matches, and this one, I mean, it had two pretty good matches too, but I don't know if, overall it was as good as the other two. The main event, however, more to mix up for your time, if you want to watch the whole card, definitely. For casual fans, this is the main reason why I have the network is NXT. The pay-per-views are sort of the cherry on top, Everything else is just, the sprinkles. NXT is definitely the reason why you should own the network. They're terrific. They might have one off week out of every 8. And that's really good.
Yeah, for sure. What Paul said, and I think I totally agree with what he said too. In that, the first two had 3 great to really good matches. This one had one great one, and then one that's really good, and then the other 3 or 3 or 4 are kind of almost. You had a tag match that was good, and that's about as far as you can get with it. And then the other stuff was kind of forgettable almost. The segment with Enzo and all that was funny, but if you're looking at it from a perspective of that's not what you expect from these kind of things. A lot of people were kind of like, why are we putting a little bit of WWE in my NXT? I don't want that, and I can understand that. But that's kind of how they're going to get over a bit, is being funny and having the comedy. I really like that sketch that they did on the week before. I actually thought that sketch came off much better than what they did here, but that's the beauty of having something recorded and having to do something live is much different. Mm-hmm. 2 things to know, too, is that they had LaFour come out in the Fallout thing and try to make a tag match against him and Enzo, or Enzo and Colin against LaFour by himself. And then Renee Young is trying to be all, I don't think that's a good idea, LaFour, that you make a tag match by yourself. It's like, well, no doubt, Renee. And there was a part, I think, I forgot what Colin said, something about, I don't know, but you could see Renee's holding her mouth, trying not to laugh. It's really funny. Oh. And they also had, the Ascension basically come out and say that they're gonna have their rematch at some point in those tapings that month, with Kalisto, and, that's where they get the Lucha Dragons name, is during that Fallout thing too. So, if for some reason you decide to just watch the show and don't watch the pre-show or the Fallout, some of these things we're talking about do happen on the Fallout, so make sure you want to watch the whole thing. Yeah. The whole 3 hours, I guess you would call it by then. But yeah, I think if you're gonna rate it, I forgot where we rated the other ones, but I would say a 7 would be fair.
I think 7.5 is what I would give it. Two good matches. I think the opener was just fine. Women's title match pretty good. Main event terrific. Like I said, match of the year caliber. And then everything else, sort of just forgettable. Enzo and Colin get to be funny, which is always great. It's half the reason why I wanted to impersonate them today. So they also, during the Fallout, they show a tweet from Titus where he's sort of talking smack about Neville. If they're going to bring Titus down to challenge for the belt, sign me up. I want dog bark every Thursday. Oh. Make it happen.
Neville says it too. He's like, the door's open if you want to come down here. So.
Oh man. Well, we could be seeing that very soon, possibly. Because he's really not doing a whole lot on the main roster, so.
Later, Gator, baby!
Yeah. I like it, don't get me wrong, but it's, I think it'd be kind of cool to see him as a champion, so. Well, I think you guys are right up around Q. 7. 7's a pretty good number for this show. I enjoyed it pretty well. And you do have more than one squash match, so that's why we're kind of going in this format, I think. I'm not sure how many Rival even had, if it even had a squash match. I don't even remember. No.
You had the
I think Rusev.
Yeah,
Rusev. No, that was Rusev interrupted that Breeze and whatever Xavier Woods match or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Beat somebody, and then the Adam Rose and Camacho was the first takeover, I think. I can't. It's been so
Adam Rose and Camacho was the first takeover.
Yeah.
See, I don't even remember. That's okay, guys. But this show was great. For what it was worth, we had some good moments. So definitely rewatch it if you didn't get a chance to watch it intently. Give it a chance and watch the whole thing straight through. So, well, guys, it's time for us to move on, and let's go ahead and get into some news items now. Since we're talking NXT, we're going to talk about something that Triple H said not far long ago. He said that they may be actually doing more of these, maybe more special shows for NXT, maybe even doing some of the, having NXT as a part of Raw or even SmackDown, kind of showcasing some of these young talents. Now, what would you think about that? Because in my personal opinion, what they did on Monday Night Raw, and I mentioned this on a regular show on Monday, or actually did Tuesday, but long story short, on the show I said, this is good. This is a very smart thing. You get the product in front of the eyes of maybe people who don't have the network. And not only that, you get some of these casual fans who don't care anything about NXT to see some young stars, and maybe they will get interested. So I'm just kind of curious, how do you guys feel about those comments Triple H made?
Yeah, all the reasons you pretty much said is the reason why they should do it. But it's got to be dropping the bucket, hyping up the specials. Because if you start having these guys show up more than, once every 3 months, 4 months, however often they're going to do these. Because I know they said they're going to do them quarterly. So this was for fall, and then I'm assuming we'll get another one in December if I take a shot in the dark. If you're going to bring them on, make sure it's to hype that, and you want it to be special, obviously, and you want it to be like, oh, hey, these guys again, sweet, and, I think it'll work great.
Right, I think, like, we've said this before, I have no problem if they make it every other month. You have 6 in total or something like that. It's fine quarterly as well. Make sure you really look forward to these when they're on, because they're going to be great. Those guys showing up on Raw was so refreshing. It was so nice to see. It was so different. It would take away from it being different if they show up every week or every other week or every whatever. They have to, if at all, once a month maybe, as a special surprise for a tag team title match or just anything, an open challenge, whatever. We've talked about it before. I think for Bo Dallas, Sami Zayn could have been a great one-time thing, because they have history with each other and all that. But they have to learn how to make these special. You can't just bring them in and here's these guys. You have nothing to promote. You have no reason to bring them on other than on the network we have NXT. We don't pump the network enough on this show. Let's do it one more time. That's not what you're doing. You're trying to get them to watch this thing that's only on the network and will only be on the network. So, it might be that they release a DVD of all 4 of them or 5 of them when the year ends. But right now, that's the plan, is to keep it on the network. So that's what you're doing. But I like his idea. I worry about doing it too much. And then it just becomes regular old hat, and then the greatness of it isn't as cool anymore.
Yeah, execution is not always WWE's strong point.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard someone say about putting maybe, we always talk about how 3 hours is a big show to fill for, the writing team, even the talent to make sure that no one gets too exposed, but then again, maybe showcase them. It's just a big deal, and people get tired. If it's not a good show, people tend to want to turn the channel. So saying that, I heard the other day someone say, why not use NXT in the first hour and, have 2 hours of Raw, which is not a bad idea, I don't think. But then again, you need that on the network.
Yeah, it takes away the one exclusive thing they have for the network that's not a C show or D show. And you're overexposing these guys, and then eventually you're going to get to the point where you can't have the big indie guys on there because it's going to get old hat. You're going to start getting some of these green guys on there. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I think it was actually Vince Russo who made that comment, if I don't get wrong. Anyway.
Well, you know what, Vince Russo? There's a reason why you're not writing here.
Yeah. I mean, but in theory, it sounds good. In theory, it sounds like, you don't have a long Raw. All the good things are on Raw. You're not getting any of the crappy filler, and you won't get all these repetitious, hey, if you forgot to watch the first hour, we'll show it to you again every hour.
Well, not to mention, if Vince has to get his hands on the NXT guys, I'd be worried.
Oh, yeah.
Ruin them later, not now.
Yeah.
And talking about Vince, they actually changed up the writing team, guys. They seem to, want to change things. And the NXT guy, I believe, Sean, you were telling me that he went to SmackDown. And then at SmackDown, people went over to NXT, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, saying that, this is a kind of a change. Do you think this is going to impact the way the shows are being done, or maybe even the feel of the shows? Because, we've been a big fan of the way NXT's been done. We've kind of felt like it's a great show. No one should touch it, but now here we go. There's already some changes.
The only thing I can think of is that it's to make, a lot of these guys that they brought up, that NXT writer has experience with them. Mm-hmm. So in order to be able to use them, kind of get into Vince's ear about how you can use them or whatever. Maybe if it's bringing fresh ideas or something. Because NXT is written by one guy and his assistant with Triple H overseeing it, whereas the other shows have Vince and Stephanie and however many other millions of writers that they have in there overseeing all that. Mm-hmm. So it's, so many hands in the kitchen there for Raw and SmackDown, whereas NXT is just one guy, and then Triple H just kind of has faith in that one guy. So I have to wonder who made the decision, though, if it was Vince or Triple H just wanted somebody new or what.
I have to imagine that NXT isn't just a development league for wrestlers. If you have a younger writer, or maybe a writer who needs to change pace, or maybe you want to help a guy improve his skills by writing solo, you can bring him in NXT, mm-hmm. You can work with Triple H, and hey, oh my God, it's totally new, and you can learn how to write on your own, and if it sucks, I'm going to let you know. If it's great, then everybody else is going to let you know. So I imagine that probably has something to do with it too, if they're trying to get some guys some more experience or something like that, right?
And Tom Phillips is the big dog in all of this, right? Where he's basically showcasing that it's not just about the wrestlers. Look at where he's at right now, and Byron Saxton too. He's on Main Event, so. Yeah. Those guys just aren't down there just to do NXT and do nothing else. They're moving up through the company. Renee Young as well. So, that's a breeding ground for everything.
Exactly. And it's one of the smartest things that they've done, I think, in general, because they have their own training camp, their own place to really build people up. Plus, they have an audience. It may not be a giant arena, but then again, they still have a big audience. They still have lots of viewers. It's TV. They know how to, do whatever they're doing on or off the screen. So I think it's just smart. I heard Triple H talk about it was his idea, and if it was completely his idea, he was right on the mark and right on the money, because this will definitely impact the company from years and years to come. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we would probably see a better. I'll just be honest. I think if they would have had this maybe in the Attitude Era, we wouldn't have the Attitude Era still. But my point being is, you may have a different feel than what we're getting right now. Mm-hmm. Right now we have a lot of complaints, but it makes me wonder if the developmental system was there before, would we still be complaining? So. Anyway, that's just, food for thought.
Well, hell, look at even JoJo. She has a spot that maybe she wouldn't have had at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's really good at ring announcing, mm-hmm. too, which is weird because we're used to her sucking at everything.
That's true.
Yeah. So
Well,
everybody's
and that led Cody's wife to be able to go to main event and some of the other shows. So
Right.
yeah.
Who's pretty darn good at ring announcing herself too.
So, well, everybody gets a fair shot, and that's good. That's good stuff. Everybody gets a chance to showcase what they can do. But, you know, we're talking about all this stuff going on with NXT and all. You know, I think it's kind of interesting when you get into the guys that we're going to be seeing in the near future because, you know, the way they develop these guys, and we've already seen, you know, Kenta's going to have a new name. We're all curious about how Kevin Steen's going to be shown, Devitt, all these different people that are coming up in the company. I mean, how is it going to be for, you know, WWE when they look at these stars? They're already stars. We saw the thing with CM Punk, but CM Punk got to keep his name. Do you think that these guys are going to take it and run with it? Because, like we're talking about right now, this is a developmental system. This is a training ground to be in the biggest show in wrestling at the current time. Do you think these guys are going to take that and run with it? Because obviously Kenta's willing to. I'm just curious about these other guys because, you know, like you said, they're already stars.
I mean, they wouldn't be here unless they wanted to give it a real shot. And, you know, I say that knowing full well the Chris Hero situation, too. Because I think it matters completely about how open they're going to be to a lot of, I'm sure, criticisms that they're going to get for stuff they've been doing for the last, maybe 4, 8, 10, however long they've been doing it, years. And, you know, like Kenta, who's apparently very open to all these changes, you really got to hope all these other guys are, too. And if they're not, there's the door. If they are, great for you.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's a good sign that they already have Devitt in pictures with the body paint. So, I mean, they're not letting him totally be not who he is. And, you know, Steen is adaptable. They've already taken away some people doing some of the moves that Steen does so that he can do them. I think they're going to be just fine. I think, for one, we have to remember that NXT is a brand. They're not just a developmental league. And Triple H has said this many times, and he wants that to be what it is, that the reason they have these specials is so that they have it's sort of like a competing thing. What was it before? Like before the last special, it was before a pay-per-view, and then it like amped all the wrestlers up to on WWE to like do better on that pay-per-view because of how good the first takeover was. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what you want. You know, you don't want to get shown up by the developmental guys, and I hope that what they saw on Raw makes them go, oh crap, there's some guys down there. I might want to like start, you know, not being complacent and start getting out there and doing stuff. You know, yeah. That's competition creates, even if it's from your own farm system or whatever, it's still good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, competition is always good, no matter what sport or what, you know, anything in life, honestly, competition is always good, no matter what format. So I completely agree with that. Well, not to change completely, but there's also been some news when it comes to WWE. You know, we've all seen that Sting is, you know, being a part of the video games, the W2K15. He's done some interviews. You know, if you love to wrestle in the company, still up in the air, and what will happen, who we will face, that's all hearsay, you know, what can happen. But what we do know is he's got a DVD and Blu-ray coming out. The interesting thing about this, guys, is the fact that it doesn't have any interviews on it. Now, that kind of blows my mind, because you want to hear what he has to say. At least I would think you would want to hear what he has to say. You want to hear him talk about all these great times in history of his history. Why is this, do you think? I mean, why have another basically match DVD?
I have no idea. I would like to think, I mean, Sting obviously is going to have tons and tons and tons and tons of stories about not only what he did in WCW, just WCW in general. I don't know why you wouldn't want to tap into that. Maybe they, I don't know, maybe it's like a test DVD, like, hey, how well is he going to sell now? Because we're dealing with a whole generation of people who may not know who he is. We know that the older people will. Obviously, they grew up on Monday Night War and all that other stuff, and even further back than that when he was coming up in the late 80s, early 90s. But, you know, you have all these new people watching wrestling now, and maybe, like, they don't want to give it all away on the first go. So That would be the only thing I'd come up with.
I think it's partially what Paul said. They don't want to give it all away on the first deal, but I think you also got to think about, for me even, if it was going to be like the Ultimate Warrior DVD, it was an automatic buy for me. But if it's just going to be matches with other guys talking about Sting, I can watch that on the network. I don't need to buy that DVD. It's almost to the point where I don't know if I want to get it at all. And but I can understand, like, they're scared about, well, maybe his shirt's not selling that well, even though they're not advertising it. They're not really advertising him that much, other than unless you watch the Nitros and stuff that he's on, which apparently that stuff does well enough that they keep doing DVDs about it. So I wonder if there's something to it. Maybe it's the fact that they don't want to give him interviews, and then he never signs a deal to wrestle, and then he gets his one DVD and he's like, okay, I'm done now. Maybe it's still like that little carrot that they keep dangling of, you're not going to get the true documentary of your story and all this stuff with you getting to talk about it unless you sign with us to wrestle or do something. Or maybe it's Sting doesn't want to talk about himself. Who knows? It could be that too.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. I mean, he may, say, well, I'm going to save this, or maybe, you just don't know. These guys have the reasons for everything that they do. But, I just hope that they do eventually get to that point where we are going to have something where he will be speaking. Maybe it's going to be based on more of the interview sections instead of showing matches. And I think that works fine. I think you got two great DVD sets if that's the case, because you got all the matches on one, and then on one you got basically the Paul Heyman DVD, just Sting. Just talking, and then having maybe other people talk about Sting, maybe show a little clipper here or there, but it's not all based on showing, long portions of his
because
career.
it really can't, with the advent of the network, you really can't sit there and expect people to buy these Ultimate Collection things. Because most of the matches, unless we're talking about like gems from Nitro or something, are on the network right now. What is the point?
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. So, and since we're talking about the network and the fact that, the WB has all of their library, available to them, they can just throw whatever they want out on that network. There's another group, actually another production company, a little company we like to call Warner Brothers. They want access to that library. Now, why do you think this is? I mean, do you think that they want to maybe use it in their films, or what purpose do you think Warner Brothers would want this?
Warner Brothers is coming out with their own video-on-demand thing, WB Play, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine that they want as much content as they could throw, and I think, this is a good idea if you don't want the network, or maybe you want something more than just wrestling, and WWE can make a lot of money off of this, and I say go for it, more eyes and all that stuff. Obviously you could get a big drawback here though, and be like, well, I can just buy WB Play, and I'm getting all this money to WB where I can get movies and TV and whatever else, plus wrestling. That's always good.
Yeah, Time Warner didn't want WCW, but now they want to capitalize on WCW.
Yeah.
When they have their own interests at heart, I think. We talked about WB Play. I asked it as a question on 4-Player Co-op to Gary. It's one of these things that I think will work in a certain extent. Everybody's asking for a la carte this and a la carte that. EA's got their EA Access for video games, sort of, that might start a whole revolution there. It is what it is, I think. I think there's more of a drawback than a plus for it right now. I think if WWE was making all these, huge amount of stuff with the network, and they wouldn't have to worry about subscriber numbers and stuff like that, then I say go for it. But I think right now, unless you're offered some ridiculous sum for the WCW content, and you got to make sure it's not WCW content that you haven't unveiled yet on your own network, because that's bad. So, I don't know. I mean, it depends on the pricing structure. If you're going to get something for every piece of episode that gets put on there, depending on how many times somebody downloads it and all that kind of stuff, maybe it's too lucrative not to do, but you have to think about your own network, I think, in that kind of case as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, and you know what? It doesn't hurt WWE to do some of these things, partner in some way. I think because they can actually, branch out. But on the flip side of the coin, you guys make a great point that, WWE wants people to buy their network. They don't want to spread out to where people aren't having to buy their product because their product's already on another network.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's a great, thing, but then again, it can bite you in the butt. So, I can see both points and both sides of the fence there. Talking about money, and maybe we can end with this. Let's talk about pay for the developmental stars we have an NXT show. Why not talk about how much these guys are getting paid? It is being said that these guys are making between $24,000 to $25,000 a year. Yeah. And then, now, don't get me wrong, these guys do have exceptions, because, I'm sure Kevin Steen, Divas, these bigger names that are coming in now, maybe they have a name worthy, or maybe they feel like they deserve better pay, or they can make the case that, hey, the indies, I can make this much, this X amount of dollars, I need a better pay, maybe that'll work. But some of the guys coming in green, $25,000 a year, wow. So, I mean, I'm going to put you guys in their shoes. How would you feel about that pay?
To be fair, that's more than I'm making now. So, nice. But
me too, brother. Me too.
Most of my friends who have the quote unquote big boy jobs are making 34, 35 in that range. So obviously these guys are getting shortened. I would have to think the indie guys are definitely getting more. If you're not going to pay me as much as I'm making on the indies, no matter how big a chance I have to come in and make more money, because I don't know when that's going to be or when I'm going to call up the main show, you got to pay me at least what I'm making on the indies. And it's probably not too much more, maybe. I don't know how often these guys are working or how much they're getting paid at these other places. It's a little how do you live on $25,000? I'm sure they're not home very often anyways. With development and gym and God knows whatever else these guys are doing. But I mean, $25,000. I mean, I hope they're living with somebody.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Maybe the cost of living for them is just basically rent and maybe whatever electricity and water. Those are probably the biggest bills those guys have. I've heard that, of course, developmental training center, I believe, does serve meals. I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I think that these guys do have, some places that they can go within their system that, they can get maybe something to eat. They have, of course, their own workout center, so they're cutting costs in that fashion, but you just don't know. I mean, I don't know all the details. We don't know all the details ourselves, so what do you think, Sean? I mean, how would you feel?
I think it is more money that I'm making right now, but you're living in one place, which is different than having to go everywhere.
Right.
With WWE guys, so it's a much different thing. You're only going around the little parts of Tampa and Orlando. You're not even coming down south to Miami, so you're not going that far as house shows or anything like that. So it's not like the income that you're having to need it's not the exorbitant amount that you need with WWE because they pay for their own travel and insurance and all that kind of stuff. I think it's fair, but the guys that come in with names, they're making more than that or they wouldn't be there.
Right.
We know Kenta and Steen and all those guys are making more money than that. There's just, the guys like Baron Corbin and maybe a CJ Parker or whatever probably making that money.
Ty Dillinger,
yeah.
Jason Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fair to start out with, but that's what it is, right? You gain like every other wrestling company, the more money you get, or the more fame you get, the more money you get. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, also, we've seen like Bo Dallas when he's in the developmental system, he got a T-shirt. We saw, I believe, was it the Ascension? Did they get a T-shirt?
The Ascension got one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we got some, there's some talent that are actually getting some money off, maybe some royalties as well. But you got to work your way up that ladder. Of course, Ty Dillinger doesn't have a shirt, so he is not that level yet. But I think, what Paul was saying earlier is, yeah, I can make a lot of money on the indies, and I can make, this and this and X amount of dollars. Maybe it's better than what WWE's paying you. But you also have to consider the other part of, hey, I'll be seen on the network. There's a chance I maybe get on Raw. So there's both sides of the fence, and I don't think you could take one away from the other because I think both are successful chances. Both you could get hurt. Both you could totally be the biggest star or the bottom of the barrel. You just don't know what you're going to get. So it's a gamble no matter what. But I think if you do get your chance at WWE, I'm probably sure you're going to take it because, they are the big boys. So.
Plus, at the end of the day, you're making enough a year to get paid to wrestle. I mean, that's like the dream, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You're right. So.
But hold on, I'm reading more about this. WWE. Apparently, this is them selling the entire library to Warner Brothers. This is not them just giving them some of the WCW stuff and licensing it off. This is basically the network would be dead.
Yeah, about that.
That's not. Yeah.
If it's some retarded number, they'll do it.
I just don't want to see it.
Well, it's just so they've really put all their eggs in this basket.
Yeah, but I mean, can you really afford to go back to the pay-per-view companies and go, yeah, give us 70-30? Like, is that going to make you any money?
I think it all depends on how much Warner Brothers is going to pay them. Like, how big, because Warner Brothers got buku money. We're talking movies, they do TV, they do everything.
I know they got money, but
They got money.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but you're basically like killing your business almost. It doesn't matter how much, I understand they could give them what they need to be able to survive and whatever, but just, does that mean, like, basically everything in the past until a certain year is going to be Warner Brothers, and then they keep the newer stuff? Or I would hate see the network die because they wanted to sell it off to somebody.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think they'll do it unless it's some big number. If it's some huge number that'll, like, recoup them all their losses and they come out on top, they'll do it. In a heartbeat, I think they'd do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for all our sakes, we hope not, though.
We've had more than enough reports about how much they freaked out about losing all this money because of the network.
Well, there was reports also of, like, them merging with AMC at one point. That didn't happen. And I'm hoping this is one of those more bogus rumors of people just wanting to see the network die and,
yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. You just never know.
I also have to think about it from that perspective, too, that Warner Bros. Has a stake in seeing these a la carte things not work. They have Time Warner Cable. So, if a la carte stuff works, Time Warner Cable goes away. So, just a thought.
It could just be them preparing for the future, too. I mean, if this is the way television's going, and it looks like this is the way television and pretty much everything is going to go, why not get ahead of the curve, If Time Warner dies, that's fine. If you got this other thing ready to back it up, be like, hey, we're still here. We got this. Go buy it.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. So, well, guys, that's pretty much all our news. Nothing left on the docket for this time. It's been a great W2M Extra. We've had a lot of fun. Got a chance to talk about that TakeOver 2 Fatal 4-Way, so that was a great show, and also some news topics, so not a bad show at all. Well, Sean, you want to go ahead and plug what's going to happen for us next Monday night, or Tuesday, whatever night we decide to do it?
Should be Monday night, midnight Eastern after Raw. Night of Champions preview already. We'll be previewing the card's pretty much full already, so at least we won't have to worry about that. The thing went in and out for some reason. And then, doing Raw, reviewing Raw, TNA. We'll go back to our regular show. We're reviewing Raw and TNA. Well, we might mention a little bit about TakeOver. We're not going to do a full review of TakeOver because it would be a waste to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and then whatever news has been going on, and the full show. If you've never listened to our show when you're watching this, sadly, we don't do video every time. So, maybe it's something we can look into. This does make it to where, as far as I know, we can't do the show live because it will create where it's got two audio forms going on and it can mess it up. So we'll have to test this some other time if we can actually do it live and do this at the same time, and then maybe it can work.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool to put this on YouTube every week. It's just doing it for 3 hours is much different than doing it for an hour and a half or whatever. So
Yeah.
We didn't do a quick multiplayer because Daniel is he's getting married, so he's not going to be here next week. So it might just be me and Robert, and that'll just leave us more time to talk about Doctor Who. So that's all right.
Thumbs up.
Then we got football to football. I think we're not doing one this week because of doing this. So we might maybe do one. I don't know what Gary has going on.
We're not doing it after this?
No, we can just post our picks.
Okay, Sean's tired.
Yes, Sean's tired.
I'm down with that.
It's like the Ray Rice thing's been talked to death. I don't want to do a 10-minute show just to put picks on an audio thing.
I totally agree.
It's kind of a waste. So
don't blame you at all. We'll definitely, check out that F2F page, and we'll have our picks right there for you. Maybe we'll even post a link in the Wrestling to the Max in case you have hard time.
That's what I thought about doing. Is we're gonna just post all the podcasts in the W2M because it got traction. Our season preview got traction there with that, and
cool.
I know we got a bunch of video game people in there too. So.
Awesome. Great stuff. So, lots of stuff to look forward to, guys. And
Raw Reaction with Harry Broadhurst and Tony Acero. We talked about Harry on here. Might as well pimp his stuff. And go read Greg DeMarco stuff. He's going to start doing a small audio, like 5-minute audio thing. He's going to do it to where you can play it on podcasts. So he said he's already hit me up to see if we'll play it on W2M. So it's going to be like a current event, hot topic type thing. I could say would give us something else to talk about too after we listen to what he had to say. So
I smell segues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Segues. Great.
There you go. I love it. Love it, guys. So lots of cool stuff to look forward to. We're always here. Like Sean said, if you've never actually listened to the podcast and you're just watching this on YouTube, hey, come join us. We're always having a great time talking wrestling. We cover everything. We cover WWE, TNA, and of course, we'll talk some other indie stuff when it's appropriate. So fun stuff, guys. So until then, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Woo!
Peace, people.
Yeah.
Love it.
I don't have to play the music now.
I know.
I love it. You gotta keep it that way.
We gotta have that as like an outtake somewhere.
Perfect. Love it. It's good stuff. So, that was cool. That was great.